a romantic comedy about the moon landing. This actually sounds like it could be fun.
Apollo 11 is on the way.
Welcome everyone to Was It Good? My name is Bob, and last night I got to check out the new movie Fly Me to the Moon. This is a romantic comedy starring Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson that's set within the historical context of the Apollo 11 mission. It actually looks at some of the different ideas around the mission as far as what was needed in order to get the mission off the ground, and even explores the conspiracy of, was the landing itself fake?
You don't believe we went to the moon?
I didn't say that, but the movie does explore that idea, and after seeing the trailer, I was interested to see it. Now, if you haven't seen the movie yet, you don't need to worry about any major spoilers within this review. I'm going to try to keep it to stuff that's only within the trailer. Now, if you have seen it, I'd like to know what you thought about it. Why don't you go ahead and share your comments in the comment section below? Let me know what you thought. Did you think the movie was funny? Did you enjoy the romantic aspect of it? Did you enjoy the historical backdrop of everything going on around it? I really would like to know what people thought about this one. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get to it. The film is set during the 1960s space race between the United States and the Soviet Union, and it sees a relationship develop between the NASA director in charge of the Apollo 11 launch and the marketing specialist who's brought in to fix NASA's public image and stage a backup fake moon landing to ensure public perception that the mission succeeded even if it does fail. As I said earlier, I was really intrigued when I saw the trailer, mainly this idea of the lunar landing having been faked, and I was curious to see how they would explore that within the concept of a romantic comedy and the historical aspect of everything. So I was looking forward to seeing this, and the way everything played out was very different from what I expected. The first thing I want to point out is that there are three aspects to this film. There's the marketing portion where Scarlett Johansson is tasked with having to sell the NASA mission to the public. And then you have the lunar landing itself along with the fake landing to ensure that the public perception of the mission's success is maintained. And then you have the romantic comedy aspect between Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum. And I think the film did a pretty good job of bringing all of these together. Now, when it comes to the marketing portion, I was very surprised at how much actually went into selling NASA to the public, because it appears that support for the mission was actually very low at that time with all of the things going on in the world. And so it was very interesting to see how Scarlett Johansson's character actually marketed the mission to the general public and to politicians to ensure that it had the funding and the support that it needed in order to get off the ground. So I thought that was very interesting to see in the film. And some of the people I went with actually were pointing up at the screen during certain times and said, hey, I remember that particular marketing campaign. So I thought that was very cool. Now, as far as the lunar landing itself, I think that the film did a pretty good job of how it explored this idea that the lunar landing could have possibly been faked or whether it was real. I think it did a pretty good job of how it handled that and the way the events played out. And at the same time, I think it respected the space program itself, because in order to make exploration happen, some people gave the ultimate sacrifice, whether it had been with their lives, and there's others who sacrificed their time and their efforts. And so I thought that the film actually respected the space program, and yet it still explored this idea of conspiracy and whatnot. So I really enjoyed that about the film. Now, despite all the serious things that I've talked about, how does the romantic comedy portion fit into it, and does it blend well together? And I think that for the most part, it does. I enjoyed the romantic story between Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum. I think they actually had some really good chemistry together, and I'll get into their performances in a moment. But the comedy portion is what I enjoyed the most. Most of the jokes seemed to land pretty well in my theater as the audience was laughing. I found myself laughing at most of the jokes. So overall, I thought that it did a pretty good job here. Now, this isn't going to be an all-time great rom-com, but for what it is, I think that it's pretty good. Now, back to the actors' performances, because I think that the acting is what makes this movie work so well. So you've got Scarlett Johansson playing Kelly Jones. She's this marketing specialist, and you got Channing Tatum playing Cole Davis, who's the launch director for the Apollo 11 mission. And they both have very different moral compasses, and it was fun seeing them play off of each other. Like I said, they have great chemistry when they're on screen together, and I really enjoyed their performances, especially Scarlett Johansson. Her character was very witty and fun to watch when she was on screen. I thought that she absolutely stole the show. Another really good performance was by Woody Harrelson. Now, he's kind of what I would call Big Brother. He plays this government agent named Mo, and he just kind of appears out of nowhere. You never know when he's going to show up, and he seems to know everything that's going on. And he was an absolutely fun character, and he's kind of creepy at the same time because people are always worried, well, does the government really know what's going on with me? Are they watching me? And he's kind of the answer to that. And so I really enjoyed his performance. All across the board, though, I think the acting was pretty good, and that was easily the best part of the film. Now, there are a couple of minor criticisms that I want to bring up. The first is that it does drag in a couple of spots. Nothing too major, but I did want to point that out there. Also, there are a couple of shifts in tone in the film that I don't think happen as seamless as they hoped that it would, but nothing too jarring. But again, I did want to mention that. Also, the way that the film is written and the way they write the characters, even though I thought that they were great and I had fun with them, they're written from a very modern perspective, or several of them are, and they almost don't feel like they belong in the 1960s. Now, that's fine because this is a romantic comedy, but if you're looking for something historically accurate, this is not going to be it as far as the way the characters react to certain situations. Also, I could understand if somebody felt a certain portion of the film became a little too slapstick, especially towards the end. Now, it doesn't bother me, but I could understand that criticism. Other than that, these are really the only things that I found wrong with the film. Now, how did I feel about the film overall? Was it good? I really enjoyed this film and I liked it. It was very different from what I expected. I enjoyed the historical backdrop of it and I enjoyed the romantic comedy aspect of it. I thought that they blended the two pretty well for the most part. The jokes I found to be pretty good, and I enjoyed the chemistry between the actors and the performances by Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum, and Woody Harrelson. I think they all did a really great job. I enjoyed this film and I'm really curious to see what everybody else thought about it. Now, if you're still watching this long, I'd like to thank you for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.